Welcome to Food Innovators by Foodix. You are...
I'm Ken.
You're Ken, and you are...
Kate.
Kate. So you're not Kate, you're not Ken.
Yes.
Correct.
It's Ken and Kate.
Yes.
Correct.
Awesome. And what do you do? What is Ken and Kate all about?
Well, we're the co-founders of Saucey Sauce. We make all-natural Vietnamese-inspired sauces, and we're here to democratize Vietnamese cuisine.
Awesome. What does that mean?
Well, the sauces are actually a family recipe.
Okay.
And
Kate's family or your family?
My family.
Okay. That's awesome.
I'm adopted.
She's actually another twin sister. We're now 8 children in the family.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So you're not Vietnamese?
No.
Okay.
Just by association.
Yes.
All right.
Her actual name is Kate Forster Huynh. You just haven't seen that.
I'm hyphenated now.
So
So
the driver's
if you guys ever get married, then she can take that last name, right?
We'll be ready to go.
It might be a hyphenated name. I don't know.
Okay.
She might fight.
So okay, let's go back to Saucey sauce.
Yes.
Vietnamese-inspired sauce, which is to democratize. So it's obviously Southern Korean as opposed to Northern Korean, because they're not very much into the whole democracy gig, are they?
I think it's the wrong section of Asia, actually.
Completely
wrong.
Oh, are we talking? Oh,
We're talking about
Vietnam.
Vietnam.
Okay, not Korea.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm just being silly.
That took us in a totally different
Do you want
direction.
to start this over?
No, I like this. Let's go.
Okay.
So Vietnamese sauce, democratizing sauces.
Absolutely. So actually the company started because when I was a kid, my sister used to take care of me, Tuan, who's also a founder of the company. We're highly involved at this stage. Would cook for me with the sauces that our grandmother and mother used to cook for us and use in the cuisine.
Okay.
And it's so easy and so delicious, and I actually just would put the sauce on anything. We decided one day to have actually a party, and we're super lazy about it, and just serve the sauces at the party. And people were saying it's amazing sauce, you should bottle it. And, we started selling it at Street Fair in Smorgasburg. And it just kind of rolled from there. We got some, got some write-ups here and there from some great places. Had a little feature at ABC News, and then not 2 years after we started the company and started selling the sauces at the markets, Kate came into our lives. And Kate had such a passion for food and such a vibrant personality, and we thought she'd be a perfect fit to help us kind of take the company forward.
And when did you guys become Saucey?
Well, we started Saucey.
Well, I was born saucy.
We all know that. Saucy and sassy.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, but when did you guys? Were you a Saucey sauce company by then, or was that sort of something that you grew into it?
Yeah, no, our company name was Saucey Sauce from the very beginning, up in 2012 at least.
How did you guys come up with that? Where did that come from?
It's a bit of Tuan's character, but Tuan's sort of like her personality to be a little bit saucy. And we just thought it just kind of roll off the tongue and kind of embodied at the time, the fun that we were having.
So she called you up, or she sort of grabbed you and like, okay, we're going to take this sauce and we're going to call it Saucey sauce and we're going to change the world. Is that sort of what happened, or was there more?
Well, there wasn't a phone call. It was just, hey, let's just call ourselves Saucey Sauce because we make Vietnamese sauces and they're saucy. And that was it. There was really no conversation beyond that.
Okay. All right, that's a short podcast. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate your data. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, what's your most popular sauce?
Oh, hands down, spicy garlic. It's the original. It's Mama Huynh's recipe. It's kind of like how it all started. This was the sauce being featured at the dinner party. And then our line expanded to include our other 2 core flavors, sweet ginger and brown sugar ginger glaze. And then we also have a fresh lemon with really amazing fresh chunks of garlic, but that's like a seasonal summer flavor. So that makes a special appearance. So if you're lucky, you get it.
It's a bit like Cadbury's cream eggs appearing once a year sort of thing.
Yeah.
When the lemons are in season, that's when the lemon Saucey sauce comes out?
Yeah, or when summer comes and it's the perfect time for it.
Got you.
Perfect flavor.
And is it something you drizzle on salads, or how do you kind of leverage this sauce?
I think it's best on veggies or like even a noodle salad. It's best, I actually personally feel like it's great with like a nice cold dish or tomato cucumber salad. It's a nice replacement for vinaigrette essentially, but there's no spice to it. It's just really light and citrusy.
So you took us through the fact that you guys had a sauce. You went along to Smorgasburg.
Famous. You don't know Smorgasburg?
I know it. I just can't say it. I've got a problem. My lips have a problem with it. So Smorgasburg. You went to Smorgasburg, and you just set up a table, took us a couple of bottles of sauce, and said, "Hey, folks, check it out." Or
yeah, totally. I mean, at the time, it was sort of the explosion of the Brooklyn food scene. So everyone was trying to sort of taste new different things, and so we actually did a lot of stuff during the summers at Hess Street Fair, for example. I remember just lugging cases of sauce up and down subways.
So how did you get there? I mean, you don't come up with a recipe that's 3 generations long.
Yeah.
You're creating some sauce for some friends, and instantly then you're lugging boxes of stuff around.
Yeah.
How do you even get there? As if I came up with a recipe for sauce.
Totally. Well, I mean, I have to be honest. It kind of the timing's right, and it just seemed like that people were ready for it. I mean, there were multiple steps in sort of productizing, so to speak. Like sort of, so how do you actually find a space to make the sauce? So initially we did it in our kitchen, just like everybody else who started their food company. And then we decided we had to create a logo and a bottle, and use a bottle that was easy to bottle the sauce in, was like easily accessible.
But did you sort of what was your job if you had one before Saucey Sauce?
Oh, okay.
And what made you say, okay, I'm going to give up being a supermodel or an aircraft pilot or a soldier or a member of the CIA, and I'm going to become a sauce guy?
It's tough giving up a career as a supermodel, but
how does that happen?
Well, I guess so. Twan and I both have quite a number of years of sort of professional experience in sort of consulting and things like that. I mean, I guess the how-to is basically you just kind of have to dive into it and just decide you're going to parcel out some time, during the week,
while you're doing your day job. So you had a day job, and you were just sort of. You had this sauce recipe and you're just trying to figure out, I wonder if this is something that I could like hang my hat on and do full time, right?
Completely, yeah.
So how did you do that? How did you test and see whether this is something people liked? How did you kind of...
I mean, we tested the market. I mean, the markets are amazing. Like the open air markets like Hess Street Fair and Smorgasburg are amazing places to see if there's interest, see if people like it. And the feedback we got is standing in front of customers who probably had never tasted Vietnamese cuisine before, seeing them be delighted, like that's the motivation and sort of the validation, the social proof, the validation.
So it's a couple $100, make it in your kitchen.
Yes.
Take that along, throw a kind of an apron or something, a sheet over a table in the middle of a public gathering, and just see what people think. Is it that simple?
Well, no. So there's.
No, it's not that simple.
No, it's definitely not.
Well, I thought you were just talking about that initial part. Yeah, like going to Smorgasburg. Okay, go on.
Well, I mean, so we actually thought the fastest way for people to sort of appreciate the sauces was to have a great vehicle, like a great kind of thing to deliver the sauce in, right? So we actually started serving dumplings initially.
Oh, okay.
So we had like these delicious. I mean, they're not that hard to find. We couldn't make like 100 dumplings in a single day. So we actually just went to like restaurants and said, hey, can we just get some dumplings we'd like to try our sauces with? Some of them donated dumplings, some of them actually had to buy from them. And Hess Street Fair is very close to Chinatown, so it was very easy for us to kind of find delicious kind of starchy vehicles to put sauce on. We did noodle salads. We actually did some prepared like dishes. So we did like Vietnamese style like bulgogi, kind of like you ever have Peking duck and you have those little like kind of breads.
The crepes?
No, it's just like the
rice.
The buns.
Oh.
Yeah. So you'd have like if you had David Chang's pork buns from Momofuku, it's the same buns. Those buns are available everywhere. They're not hard to get.
Okay.
So we would actually put like.
So you got meatballs and buns from Chinatown.
Yeah, I mean, we would actually get marinated meat.
Okay.
And we would actually, so occasionally, you ever been to the Brooklyn Night Market?
No.
It's the Night Bazaar actually. It used to be inside a big warehouse space.
Oh, okay.
We actually made those kind of buns and sold those with the sauce as a package. Like basically, like $5 you get 2 buns, something like that. So that was, I mean, it was an experimentation. So we went from dumplings to noodle salads to the night bazaar where we did the buns and sold actual food. And then we figured like, well, you know, we're not really a restaurant. We're not really professional chefs. Sure, people, you know, found it delicious, but
you were getting somebody else to do it for you. You weren't.
No, actually, I was actually making the buns myself.
Oh, you're making the buns?
Yeah, we had a, you know, mise en place, and we had, you know, on one side we had, you know, fried onions, we had fresh lettuce, and then we had some bean sprouts, and then we had the meat that I would slow roast the pork belly or pork butt.
Cool.
You know, we'd use spicy garlic sauce and just kind of like, you know, just roast it over a long time so it would just fall apart. And then we would serve the food like with the sauce, spicy garlic.
And then you decided against that, and you kind of went the pure sauce route?
Yeah, because at that time we started seeing a lot of traction with just the sauce at the stores. So first we were approached by Saucey and Dean.
So you were doing your table thing in one of these places, and someone came, buyer came to you and just said, "Hey, this is great sauce."
Yeah, they just gave us a rank. Here's the thing about those markets: it's like you don't know who you're running into. You don't know who you're talking to. So it's always like, tell us about your product, and you talk about it, and you know they taste it, and it's like delicious. And then we get an email a couple days later, like, "Oh, I was at the market and I saw you and thought you'd be good for our store." You know, so that's kind of how it happened. It's so important to be out there, especially for entrepreneurs out there who are.
So how does one get a desk or table or whatever they call these things? How do you get one of those? Go on. How do you get it in on that? Do you just sort of, there's a website, you ring them up and say, "Hey, can I come and show my stuff"?
Back then, it was quite easy and quite cheap. It was just when these markets were starting to become very popular.
Now it's incredibly expensive.
The prices have gone up way beyond what I would ever imagine. It used to be like you can get like a couple weeks, right? And you pay like $150.
Okay.
So 3 or 4 weeks at a time, you can schedule it out, and you know they are now like destinations, so they charge a little more. But there's plenty of markets out there, and they're constantly looking for vendors.
So not just Brooklyn, though, right? Now this is something that's happening pretty much everywhere.
Completely, yeah. Union Square Market. There's one in the Upper West Side.
Is it specifically a farmers market, or is it a food market, or is it something else entirely?
Can be both. Yeah, there's definitely flexibility with where you can set up shop, and you can definitely negotiate if you want to get a pack of weekends at the fair. Because they're always looking for interesting, unique, different products to offer. And especially as an entrepreneur, you have leverage when you can say, "I'm going to be giving samples." So that's a bargaining chip to get the prices reduced. And as an entrepreneur, you got to start lean, got to stay lean.
How much did you guys put in to get this thing rolling in the beginning?
Oh gosh, between Tuan and I, by year 2, we probably rolled in about $50,000.
$50,000?
Yeah, in total. I mean, that was just sort of our personal, like, just spending money.
Does that mean you need $50,000 to get something started?
No, I said you can run very, very lean just by, you know, producing the sauces yourself, printing the labels at Staples. Just do what you need, right? You don't need to produce 1,000 bottles right away. You can start with, say, 20 cases, and then see how that works. Just test out the market. See how people appreciate the bottles.
How did you guys figure out the legal side? In other words, you said people start by making their products in their own kitchen. I'm guessing if you start trying to sell stuff in public spaces, cooking and developing your own stuff in your own kitchen probably is a hygiene no-no from the regulatory perspective. Yeah,
that's a great point. So I've heard this from multiple sources, is that you can actually start selling product without producing in a facility up to 10,000 units a year. But my suggestion is to go to a kitchen as soon as possible.
A kitchen?
Like a certified kitchen. Get the food handler's license, which is a necessity.
So food handler's license. Where do I go to get a food handler's license?
I believe the New York State Department of Agriculture has a site where you can actually take the test. It's somewhere up in the, I have to say, the Bronx.
And it's state by state, I'm guessing. So if I live in Ohio, I should probably move just because it's Ohio. but generally they have their own. Every state has their own system.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. So check your local laws for that. It's definitely different. So yeah, food handler's license. Basically, check with the FDA. Check with your state Department of Agriculture. Every state has a different set of rules, but in our case, we can produce up to a certain point.
Okay.
Then after that, then we definitely need to have nutritional labeling. We need to have a food chemist, essentially, so someone who can do some analysis on the sort of water content, water activity, like how much shelf life your product has, that kind of thing.
And that's where the 50K went, or?
Some of it went to that for sure. For the most part, I mean, we were breaking even by year 2, and that was because we were spending as much as we were selling.
That's great. That's great. Just definition of break even, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
just wanted to drive that point home.
okay. So, handler's license,
Yeah.
state-specific requirements, but in terms of, let's say, New York for a second. In New York, once you get above a certain size, you need to get it manufactured in a commercial kitchen, or you need to do it within a commercial kitchen. Now, that doesn't mean you go along to a restaurant, your local restaurant that has a commercial kitchen, you try and find some time in their schedule where you can manufacture it there. There are actually dedicated, in exclamation marks, commercial kitchens, right?
Absolutely.
So in Manhattan and Brooklyn and so on, there's BK Kitchen,
Brooklyn Foodworks.
Brooklyn Foodworks, Hot Bread Kitchen,
Yep,
etc.
Entrepreneur Space. There's quite a few that are not these big incubator spaces too. You just have to kind of know someone who's produced out of them. But they're all inspected, certified. Some of them, you can find a kitchen that's certified organic, for example.
And I'm guessing if you're going along to one of these events like Smoogingsburg, that you can talk to the other people who are there exhibiting as well, have their own tables as well. Some of them will probably already be manufacturing in their local commercial kitchens. So as long as they're friendly folks, they'll probably be able to switch you on to good places to try, right?
Of course, and it's so nice being part of the food community because exactly that, it's a community and everyone's really willing to help. Everybody knows the growing pains of getting started, especially that transition to commercial kitchens. It is a transition, you have to get all set up, and that's where you start scaling a bit. Because you can start making, a giant pot of sauce and really start getting your mojo going to package and wrap them and label them and get your stuff going. So it's always good to have people that you can reach out to and ask for best practices. And
now, just so people understand what the whole commercial kitchen thing is, it's not where kind of an empty environment aside from a cooker where you have to bring your own cooking equipment and you don't have to spend a fortune to kind of get started, do you? They provide pretty much everything. And they charge you an hourly fee, or how does that work?
They charge an hourly fee, and then most typically you rent space to store your supplies. But yeah, all the pots, pans, dishwashing area, spoons, ladles, everything else you need is there. If you have some sort of special packaging, I'm sure you have to bring your own equipment in, but lucky for us, pretty standard: jar, sauce, cap, shrink wrap.
Yeah.
Label.
Easy.
Yeah, and you know what? And also that time when we were producing the sauces by hand, every weekend, I kind of miss those days a little bit too. Because I mean,
So what do you do now?
well, we have co-packers.
Co-packers.
Co-packers are partners, companies that are sort of producing for companies, for brands, their products, and they do it at scale. And so what they do is they arrange runs, so to speak, lots. And it's essentially their contract producers of your product. Now, of course, you have to test the product to make sure it's, according to your standards, and of course it abides by all legal standards. But when you're producing the kitchen by hand, there's a little bit of I think people kind of romanticize food entrepreneurship in a way that, it's fun, you're making something you love and all that. That time when you're actually producing before you actually scale to a co-packer, I think was the most fun time. It was work and it was sweaty and you smelled like sauce every day, and I would constantly rub my eyes and get chili peppers in my eyeballs and I'd be carrying sauce on subways, but that period of time was the most I don't know, it was extremely fulfilling and interesting. It was exciting, you know. You felt like the possibilities were endless at that time too.
You don't think that now?
Oh, we always feel like possibilities are endless. The only difference is that when you're small, to get to the next level, it's like playing a video game. Like, you know, you're constantly upping your game a little bit. Every milestone is more and more interesting and more fun, accessible.
So milestone's not fun right now. You're not upping your game right now. You're not.
Yeah, we are.
Well, then what the hell are you talking about?
Our game. Yeah.
Where are you coming up with this
I'm just
stuff?
pointing out how great it is to have.
You're not motivated. What the hell?
That's a terrible thing to say.
What?
You're 100% motivated.
Yeah.
But it was so much better in the early days.
No.
Well, it's fun. It's fun when you're in the kitchen.
I just want entrepreneurs listening to know that from that period until you become big enough to have a co-packer,
right,
enjoy it. It's kind of like seeing a baby grow from like an infant to you know, screaming 5-year-old child running around causing havoc in your apartment or something.
So then it was a baby. Now it's a.
I'd say it's a preteen.
I think it's a tween.
It's a tween.
It's a tween.
We're
You guys
tween.
have a tween. Oh, that's so sweet.
Just talking to the boys at this moment.
So let's just get back to the co-packers where, just for a second. You give them your recipe and you say, make it like this. Is that pretty much what happens? Or?
No. What you do, and Kate, maybe you want to talk about it since you know it quite well.
Yeah, I do. So of course, you know, you're giving them a lot of information, including the Ken was mentioning getting all the nutritional information. So it's called schedule process.
Schedule process.
Schedule process.
Okay.
So you can work with universities. We worked with Cornell University. And so exactly what they're doing is they're sending back the ingredients and, you know, looking at the pH levels. And with our sauce, we have citrus and vinegar, and the fish sauce, of course. So, you know, it's really important to be able to communicate that on a very specific level to the co-packer. So then,
What does that mean?
So, well, you want to give them all the information because especially as co-packers start producing your sauces, they scale up, right? So they're making 100-gallon batches, sometimes 200-gallon batches.
So what do you give them?
We give them the ingredients, the scheduled process, which details out like how many grams of the fish sauce, how many grams of peppers went into it, how that works out from a nutritional standpoint, and also the really important stuff, which is the information on pH.
So you went to Cornell University.
Correct.
And do they have a service that you can find on their website that sort of figures this stuff out for you? What's it called and how do you find it?
I'm not sure.
If you just do a quick search on Google for Cornell University food manufacturing process, you will find.
They have there's a website where you can just sign up and.
Yeah, it's 100% dedicated towards food manufacturing, and so they actually have a service where you can send a sample of your product. You always need to send a sample.
Nice.
With the label and all that, so they see the bottle and also the product in its finished state. Then you send the schedule, the recipe. They return to you a scheduled process. They do testing on the product to see what the pH levels are, which would indicate shelf stable, like sort of duration, like how long it can be on the shelf. In our case, because we produce sauces, that may be different for companies that are doing like dairy or nuts or something like that, obviously. But in our case, it's it's the chemistry of the sauce and how long it will last on the shelf and what kind of storage it will need. You get a scheduled process which allows the co-packer to determine the proportion of ingredients to help scale it out.
Yeah. And so you give that scheduled process, one of those, and a recipe, and a package to the co-packer, and that gives them all of the bits they need to basically create your final product, pretty much.
Yeah.
Or do they kind of do a few trial runs and you're like, okay, it's actually closer to that versus this? And
there's one bit of best practice I might add to that. You probably have the same comment.
That you need to go.
Yeah,
you need to go. You got to make sure what they're making tastes and looks and smells and has the velocity that you want. You want your product to be perfect. Sorry.
Bless you.
And it's really important, especially in the beginning, that you really nail it and get it right, because when you're working with a co-packer, the arrangement generally is you have this first run that's a test run where they'll spend time with you and tweak. So they'll come out and bring you a little cup and you taste it and say, 2 more grams of fish sauce. We want more umami punch to it.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool experience. It's not anything you should rush. You know, you should, and then it's a great opportunity to build a partnership with your co-packer, because it is a partnership. You're going to grow together, and
you got to go down periodically too. These guys are
once they start. You mean
once they
things
start
are rolling.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You have to see how they're still producing your product,
because they'll cut corners, or
you know, I wouldn't say that. But it's more important just to show presence, that you're truly invested in your product. Yeah, because then you maintain the quality, and they know you're there. You're concerned. You're not just dialing it in, which can be easy if you're busy running a business and you're trying to grow it and you're trying to do all the right things. It's easy to neglect the basics. That's the basics.
So given that you're sitting, let's say for example, right now you're sitting for the first time with your first product, you've got your scheduled process, your recipe, your package, you're sitting in the factory or production facility of your first co-packer, and they're bringing little samples in and out of the product so you can say yes, no, change this, change the other thing. Sounds expensive. Is this something where they're like, okay, before we even talk to you, before we even do any of this stuff with you, you need to give us a minimum $10,000 order, or I don't know. Is there a minimum? How do you guys encourage the co-packers to even want to do business with you?
Well, you know, I'm sure every co-packer is a little bit different. So before you even step foot in the facility, you have to negotiate your prices. And they're going to, so once they have your recipe, they most often source all of your ingredients. In our case, we source our fish sauce, which comes from the Fuqua Islands, where Ken's family has been buying it for years. And then we also source special chilies. They're Asian bird's eye chilies. So anyway, so you get all of your ingredients to the co-packer. They take your recipe, they figure out, you know, how many peppers go into it, how many lemons go into it, whatever, and then they'll send you back a price. And of course you want to negotiate, you want to come down. And then you can start having that conversation about, we want to grow with you, we want to scale. You know, if you have some like commitments from people who want to buy from you, that's obviously a bargaining chip. But for that first run, you want to go in with your prices negotiated
in advance and agree.
In advance.
Now, when they come to you with their initial price, should you be looking for it to come down by 10%, 20%, 15%, 2%, or is there? I mean, maybe it's going to differ, but were you guys expecting it to be 20% less than it came in at originally, or was it pretty close, or?
I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, like, our product there's no other product like that, like ours out there. And so, for us, finding a co-packer that could produce our product was already,
they can even do it.
They can even do it, yeah.
Right.
Now, if you're producing, say, jams, or, something that's already in the market that has like a lot of producers that can potentially produce, you have a lot more bargaining power to get the price down. Now, for us, I mean, we work different angles. We were like, well, we can't do that volume, but what can you do for this kind of volume? And given our traction of the stores, the names that we have, we think you can do better, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like, at least the last co-packer relationship we opened up ended up being pretty close. Yeah.
So maybe a 5-10% difference at most.
Yeah, I think we got them down about 10%.
Okay.
Across the board. Across the line. One thing I don't want to forget to mention is you should always bring your product with you as well. So I know, Ken showed up with a batch of the sauces, so you can taste them in tandem.
Okay,
want to make
this is
sure
what you're giving me, this is what it is.
Compare it.
It should be pretty much bang on.
Yep.
And it's not a bad idea to have a buddy with you. Have one of your partners with you so you can both weigh in on it. It's a big decision, it's a big investment, so you want to make sure you get it right. And also, there are a lot of co-packers out there that specialize in certain product categories. So for instance, we work with a sauce co-packer, and that's really the way to go because they know what they're doing, and specifically they have the machines in place, which if you work with a co-packer that has all the machines that you'll need, obviously your price will be much better.
How did you find a sauce co-packer? Can I just Google it? If I just did a quotation marks sauce co-packer, close quotation marks, it's going to get me a list of these guys.
It's I think people think there's some sort of magic process or something like that to find a sauce co-packer. It's a combination of just networking the hell, getting it out there as much as possible, and just talking to as many people.
So again, back to Smoogersburg and similar.
Community.
It's community, yeah.
Talking to other source folks who happen to be out there selling their stuff, saying, are you using a co-packer? Who's good? Who's bad? That kind of thing.
Yeah. You could totally Google it, but then you have to do your own due diligence, and there's no point of reference for you. I mean, that's what we did for our first one. We got very lucky with that because we actually talked to at least 5 until we were like, all right, let's make a trip out to this one. But yeah, I think it's trial and error a little bit. It's a little bit of luck, and it's definitely working your community, working relationships, and finding out who's the right person to work with.
Are there source co-packers who have their own areas of expertise? So in other words, you guys are a Vietnamese/Asian inspired source. Does that mean that there are co-packers who focus on Asian versus others, or is it all just source?
Yeah, I would say so, but we didn't end up going to a co-packer that actually just specialized in Asian sauces. I mean, we found one that worked for us. They didn't necessarily produce Asian sauces before us. Okay. But they were willing to work with us and perfect the recipe. And that was it. I mean, you don't have to go, if you're an Asian sauce, you don't have to go to an Asian co-packer. Yeah. The East Coast actually doesn't have a lot of Asian co-packers.
So you made it sound really, really easy. Like, we had this 3-generational sauce. My sister made it. It's kind of good. Showed it to some friends. They liked it. Went along to Smoogersburg. Spent, $150. 3 weeks later, we've got people from various retailers saying, "Hey, selling our store." Was it really that easy? Was there no moments in the last? I don't know. How long have you guys been going?
I guess at the stage 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
No points in the last 4 years where you're like, holy shit, this is difficult.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, constantly.
You've got a tween now, right?
Yeah, we have a tween now. I mean, let's just say it's never you hit the peaks and the troughs constantly.
Okay.
There are moments when you think your product is totally going to get at Whole Foods, and then suddenly they come back and say, call us in a month, call us in the next quarter. Or you have these moments where you think you're going to get on a TV show because you've been cast to be, part of a competition or something like that on a TV show, and then you get a rejection. Like it's constant moments for that, and it's like it's always on the tip of your tongue, or it's always right within reach. But I think this business requires a lot of just persistence and just sort of belief in your product and belief in your team. That's a huge part of it. I don't think that's any different from any other kind of business, to be honest.
Sure. So in the last 3-4 years, give me a couple of high points. Give me a couple of points where you think to yourself, now that was a good moment. That was sort of a win, or a moment where I'm like, okay, now we're doing the right thing. This is going in the right direction.
I'll start, Will, and you can start. Do you have one?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, taking the leap to become nationally distributed is very exciting, but also kind of complicated and a bit stressful, especially if your background, before this is not food related. There's a lot to learn. And, but again, it all comes down to community and reaching out and figuring out, other people's relationships with these different distributors. We work right now with 2 national distributors, UNFI and KE, and we have distribution at 8 distribution centers across the nation. But there's a lot that comes with that. It's getting the sauce created in their system and getting all the contracts signed and understanding what your obligations are, and then of course getting the sauce there. It's not an easy feat, but it's absolutely a necessary step if you want to scale it and want to grow and succeed.
So an exciting moment for you was when you'd gone through all the pain of the decision making, you'd gone through all the pain of getting set up with KE and UNFI, which is probably where people can get hold of your product if they want to, right?
Correct.
But the exciting moment for you was when you realized now your Saucey sauce was going to be national.
Mm-hmm. And I think every time we get into a new distribution center, there is champagne. So you got to pop the bubbly.
You need an excuse for champagne?
Well, no, you don't really need an excuse.
I wake up to champagne. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah, every day. Yeah, but no, I mean, that's always really exciting because it's not only opening the opportunity for whatever account opened that DC, because that's generally how it works. You find an account that says, oh, we love sauce, we want it. They contact the distributor and request it. And then that's how you start filling the orders. But what's super exciting about it is it's just opened up a whole nother range of possibilities in any given region. So each distribution center usually supports accounts across, I don't know, like 3 or 4 states. So, you know, it's just the beginning of, you know, huge opportunity, another huge opportunity. And that's how you have to look at it. Like, there's challenges, you know, there's disappointment, you recalculate, you navigate, you figure out what to make the next step when you have those hurdles. And then you also celebrate and dig in and see how you can take moments like that when you get that expansion and capitalize on it. So it's important to have that hat on.
Yeah.
So what's your moment of, wow, this is going in the right direction, life is good, I did the right thing, I shouldn't have stayed a consultant, or
I think I'm going to go early on. When we first got the call from ABC News that they wanted to do a little feature on me and the company, me and my sister and all of us, it was like, oh, well, we might be onto something here. You know, we've got stores that like our product, and I mean, I won't say it's easy to like get into stores, but that's probably the start of it. And so that whole process was like validation, and then every store was like, yeah, we'll try your product. We'll buy a case. We'll throw it on there.
You had salespeople selling this to stores?
Not initially. Literally, it was me and my sister at the time. This was early on, going from store to store, talking to the store managers, saying, "Hi, there was a guy named Alp at one of the gourmet garages at the time." Alp. He was a manager.
Okay, Alp.
Yeah, and I'd be like, "Is Alp around?" And they'd be like, "No, Alp's not around until later at 4." And I'm like, "All right, fine." So basically, I would wait around until Alp showed up, and I'd say, "Hey, we talked over the phone yesterday. Try our sauces. I wanted to give you a chance to try it. We think they'd be great for your stores." And we get 50% of those interactions resulting in a sale, and then we just kept on building it that way. And those small wins, I think, were like a lot of validation. It just felt good every time we closed a new store, because we knew that, you know, the more places that picked our product up, the more we could just get sauce out to people. So I mean, those small wins are important. Getting the small bits of mentions on like, say, Gothama's Food and Serious Eats. Recently I was interviewed by BBC News. Like, those little bits of things are like, those are the small wins, but you gotta celebrate those, because there are gonna be moments when you're gonna be like, oh crap, we're totally going the wrong direction, and now we gotta recalibrate and readjust.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, your company is a ship. It takes time to readjust the direction of the company. Every single time you make a decision, it's altering slightly. So you just have to kind of take the wins as well as the losses as they come.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's a long story, but
no, that's great. That's great. So what's next? What's the next, from your point of view, the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and what are you hanging your hat on in terms of celebrating next?
Absolutely. You want to start with that, or?
Wow. Okay. Well, there's a lot. Well, so first and foremost, we're getting really excited. We have a big demo campaign in the works. So really want to connect and be good partners with our retail partners.
So for those people that are not yet in the food industry, demos?
Oh yeah. So, you know, when you go to the store and you walk up to that shipper person standing behind a table with a sample, that's a demo.
Okay, so lady or man giving little samples of edibles in a retailer.
Yes, and so what's cool is that, you know, there's different types of demos. There can be demos that our team supports. You know, anytime we can do a local demo, you know, it's always good to be that person behind the table. And also, you know, that's how you get to learn who your customers are, which always helps you with marketing efforts and just steering the ship. And then we also work with a third-party demo company, and they help us demo in the stores nationally. You know, we have stores in Colorado and Utah and Montana, and obviously it's not exactly easy for us to get there. So, you know, partnering with a demo company you trust, making sure that they can really report well on metrics is important. And then...
And why do you do demos? That you do demos to kind of...
Well, you gotta have people taste the sauce.
Okay, so it's literally just to have people randomly trying the sauce,
Yeah.
and then ideally picking up a bottle and walking to the
store and with a coupon, because we like to partner our demos with coupons and of course other marketing materials. But we have found that demos are really, really key for us and important because it's trial, you know, and again, like, we're democratizing Vietnamese cuisine, and Americans just aren't really familiar with the dynamic flavors that Vietnamese cuisine. Yeah, exactly. And so that's how you change that. You know, that's how you introduce it. And honestly, I can say once we have a fan, that is the repeat buyer, and that's your customer acquisition cost. And at the end of the day, you know, you spend maybe between $150 and $200 soup to nuts on a demo. You just have to know what it costs to break even. So we know it costs 10. Once we sell 10 cases of sauce, we've broken even. So
how many in a case?
We have 6 packs.
So in other words, 60. If a demo person, company, whatever, can sell 60 bottles,
then the demo's paid for itself.
then it was a free demo.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay. How long is a demo person normally in store? 2 hours? 3 hours?
4 hours.
3 to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to sell 15 bottles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 bottle every 3 minutes.
Yeah, or you know, convince them that they love so many flavors they should buy.
Or they can buy it.
Or they can buy more than one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now I know that your favorite / original flavor is garlic chili, right?
Spicy garlic.
Spicy garlic.
Yeah.
Saucy sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay, which is, you know, quite a popular flavor for most people. People love garlic. People love spicy chili.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no surprise that that's the one that they really kind of jump up and down about.
Especially during the spring and the summer, grilling season. It's the perfect sauce for making it quick, easy, like, you know, chicken breast, grilled grilled vegetables.
Now I pretty much put it on anything, if I'm honest.
So do I.
I mean, I'm literally, you know, I pour it on my baked potatoes even. I mean, it's that good. So.
Yeah. But I think Kate really said it all. I mean, I think our big milestone over the next year at the start, you know, sort of in the medium term, is we're gonna be just like feet on the ground, really working with our partners, and just getting to get all the way out there, that the same way we were when we first started the company, which, you know, we want to do that again, and more, you know, passionately and more focus. Then after that, I think it's about just finding again more of the right retail partners and more penetration to the right.
It's funny, you guys. I'm not saying it was easy, and I kind of joked about that earlier, but the sauce was so good that by just getting it, standing at a desk, a table, whatever it might be, in the middle of this kind of popular place where people are kind of wandering by, just sort of checking things out, and getting the sauce in their mouths was what got you your distribution. It's what got you your first set of fans, you know, raving fans. It's what kind of got the ball rolling. So I totally get the idea of needing to scale up, moving to a co-packer and schedule, process, and all those sorts of important things to be able to scale your business. But it sounds like you guys are coming full circle, recognizing that what it really comes down to is getting that grey sauce in as many hands and mouths as possible.
Introducing the flavors, introducing it to the palates that are just discovering it. You know, we're well positioned because we have something so unique, but of course it brings its own challenges because you have to have that trial period.
Absolutely.
It's not like you're selling ketchup. But although we do have some Vietnamese inspired ketchups.
Now, what is I mean, I know what Vietnamese means, obviously, but if I've never tried Vietnamese food before, let's say it's not a kind of food type I've ever experienced. Now I personally have, but there are I'm guessing a lot of people in the US where Vietnamese is a new thing. In terms of taste profiles and so on, what can they expect?
I love that you're asking this question. I love it. Okay. Amongst the Southeast Asian cuisines, I think Vietnamese is the most, I don't want to say simplistic, but it's very like fundamental. There's like core flavors that are just fundamental to all, like from north to south, Vietnamese cuisine. There's always a little sweet, always a little, some spicy, or some like sort of aspect of herbal. You know what I mean? There's salty, so the umami, and there's always something fresh, something not just herbal, but like there's some kind of basil or cucumber or like pickled daikon or something like that. So whatever the dish, so you're gonna have pho, for example. Pho is a very rich beef broth with rice noodles, and the umami part is basically the delicious broth, which starts with, people don't know this, but star anise.
With what?
Star anise.
Star anise.
Yeah, it's like a spice. Kind of like how you would start ramen with kanbu, right? You start your pho with star anise. Then you get your beef bones in there, and you get a lot of water, and you let it boil for a heck of a long time. And you add salt, and it just takes time to cook. Then you've got the basil, the fresh basil, and the bean sprouts, and then of course the spicy sauces that you would dip your meats or beef balls or whatever. That's pho. Now you get into the more unknown dishes like the gum so num, which is basically broken rice with like a marinated pork chop or like a marinated it's like sort of a very Middle Eastern style kebab. It's called nam num. It's like a ground pork with like garlic, fresh garlic. It's also very spiced up, like kind of ground meat, essentially grilled. You get that on the rice. You get some fresh cucumber, tomato, some basil, some mint. I mean, all the flavors in Vietnamese cuisine have these fundamental components to it, and that's
So
why it's
a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy.
Yep, and fresh.
Fresh, yeah.
Herbal or lemongrass, for example, is a very kind of unique flavor to Vietnamese cuisine. I think a lot of food has lemongrass in it. So there's kind of three elemental pieces to it. And the great thing about Vietnam, if you've never been, is that it's unlike a lot of, I won't say, like a lot of countries, it's hit or miss if you get street food or you go to a really high-end restaurant. Vietnamese cuisine tastes great no matter where you get it. Like you get it on the street, you get it in a high-end restaurant. It's very consistent, and it's because the core of it is like the umami, and fish sauce is a big component of that, which is why I love spicy garlic, for example. I love saucy sauce for that reason.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So, what kind of people are trying Vietnamese cuisine then at the moment? Is it? I mean, I understand it's a popular cuisine. Is it amongst the young? Is it amongst the old? Is it amongst everybody? I mean, obviously.
I mean, I have to be, honestly, I see all sorts of people try it, all sorts of different ages, kids even, who have like fallen in love with it. As far as like who our core customer and our target customer.
So when you're demoing in a store and you're giving little samples of sauce to people, is it pretty much everybody, or is it?
A lot of people try it, all ages. But as far as the trend of who's buying it, like, at least on the spot, it's generally like millennials or millennial-minded people who are definitely into food. They'll talk to us about how they plan on cooking with it. So I don't know, like 25 to 40 is kind of a good range. Men and women, although we're seeing some more men. And I think part of the hook there is that it's really, really great and easy for grilling. And so men are all over that.
Yeah, and I would just boil it down and say it's people who just really want flavor. Like, it's such a flavor bomb when you get the sauce. When people taste it, it doesn't matter how old you are or whether you're a male or female. Like, it's just instant, like, oh my god, what can I use? What else can I put this on?
So is it a sauce on top, or is it a sauce? You mentioned cooking with it. Is it a cooking type sauce? Is it a sauce on top? Is it cook something and then drizzle this a little bit on the? I mean, how are people using the saucy sauce?
I mean, saucy sauce can be used on anything, but the way we sell it is that it's a marinade, a cooking sauce, and a dipping sauce. So you can use it for simply as a salad dressing if you wanted to, simply putting it on top of some greens or like a noodle salad or something like that if you're feeling very, very lazy. Or I like to do something like just, hey, I have a strip steak. I'm just gonna pour some spicy garlic sauce on it, let it sit for about 10 minutes, throw it on a cast iron pan, and sear both sides, and I'm done.
So whenever you want to add more kind of garlic and spice and flavors to something, whether it's on top or with, saucy sauce is a good place to go.
Completely.
Definitely, so easy to add a ton of flavor. And And we should mention that it's only 25 calories per tablespoon, fat-free, oil-free, gluten-free. So all of these are important traits to, you know, people out there who are looking for flavor but trying to stay healthy. And we'd be remiss to not mention that Vietnamese is known and is a really healthy cuisine.
It is. I mean, I think it's
MSG. No MSG.
No.
Some products might have. I mean, not products. Some like dishes might have a little MSG. I think, for example, Nam Nuong. I mentioned that earlier. If anybody's looking for how to find that what I'm talking about, just type NEMNUONG. Nam Nuong. It just means like ground meat that's been like seared, essentially.
Okay. Seared ground meat.
Yeah, it could be pork. It could be a mixture of pork and shrimp.
You don't sell that. You guys.
We don't sell that.
You guys just sell the sauce.
No.
No MSG in our sauce.
Yeah, no MSG. No added. We don't add any preservatives and no additional like kind of like chemicals or like ingredients. It's all fresh and stuff. But yeah, like that. Some dishes in Vietnamese cuisine they'll add a little bit of it. But like I'm of the David Chang camp, where he's kind of like crusaded against like the demonization of MSG in a way. Like I truly think like sometimes it's not so bad as long as I'm not eating a bag of Doritos and, you know, sucking down like all the salt, you know, sugar content that's in the flavoring, you know, it should be fine. But yeah.
But as far as sauce is concerned, all natural, no preservatives, no MSG. Not that you have anything against MSG. Kind of nice in the right quantities and the right situations, but not something that's part of saucy sauce.
Yeah, we don't add an MSG in our sauces. 100% no.
Awesome. Okay, so where do people find out about saucy sauce? Whether they're you know, a retailer, a consumer, a potential investor, or whomever, how do they find out about you guys and kind of check you out, reach out to you, engage?
Well, there's a number of ways. I have to say, people find us online all the time. There's a lot of referrals. We always ask when people reach out, you know, how'd you find us? Also, trade shows. We do the fancy food show every year. We make a ton of connections with buyers from different stores, and we get to connect with the distributor reps who are there. We also, let's see.
In terms of the social webs and stuff?
I would just go to www.getsauceynow.com, GETSAUCEY.com, or find us on Facebook.
Sorry, www.getsaucey now.com. Sorry, I'm just being really obtuse because some people are listening to this thing, and we'll also include you know, contacts in the show notes for those who are driving or on subways or whatever.
Yeah.
So getsauceynow.com.
That's our website.
What about the Facebooks of the world?
Yep. Facebook is just www.facebook.com/saucysauce, so Saucey with an E.
Okay.
And then we're on Twitter with the same handle, Saucy Sauce Co. And we love that people would add us on Instagram. Saucy Sauce Co. Yeah.
Saucy Sauce Co.
Yeah, with an E.
So Saucy Sauce Co. with Twitter.
Yeah.
Saucy Sauce with an E Co. Instagram. Facebook is
same thing.
Saucy Sauce Co.
Yep.
Yeah.
Facebook.
We're pretty original.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're easy. We're easy to find.
We're consistent.
It's an original sauce, but not an original.
Not original handle.
I think it's just consistency.
Yeah, you want to be consistent and easy to find.
Honestly, if you just do a Google search for saucy sauce, you'll find us. We're out there.
So how come you guys haven't strangled each other yet? You've been working together now for 3 years.
She's tried to a couple times.
You're both very strong-willed, strong personalities. I can see that in you. But you guys get on like a house on fire. It's fantastic. How do you guys?
She is an angel. That's why I mean, the amazing things we go through, the trials, the disagreements. But you know what? That's the only way. So I think like every partnership should be like, in a way, like two very different people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I love food, I'm passionate about food, Kate's passionate about food, but she also has a creativity to her that, you know, I think I'm creative, but you are a different kind of, your mind works differently from mine. So
absolutely, and we respect that about each other.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the secret. Of course we want to strangle each other sometimes, but
she punched me in the gut the other day. It didn't hurt very much. But
we do talk it out though, I will say, and it's
communication.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we're definitely, we're not dating or married, everybody thinks so, but we are friends and like brother and sister at the end of the day. So I mean, it's that family kind of unconditional love and trust. And you know, I've been telling him this from day one. He's like my hero. You know, he really has a Superman cape somewhere. I'm convinced. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for Ken.
Instead of one S though, it should have two S's, right?
Would it interchange like
Saucy sauce as opposed to Superman.
Yeah, that's our next T-shirt line, by the way.
I like it.
You got to rip that logo, SS as opposed to the S, right?
I like it. Sauce. It's about trust and respect, and you know, hopefully you go into business with somebody that you love, like unconditionally, and want to grow.
Did you guys know each other beforehand?
We met at the fancy food show, and I was obsessed with the sauce, and they fell in love with me, and then it kind of all worked out. So by putting the sauce out there, putting it in Kate's mouth, got you a new co-founder / employee.
I guess maybe the solution is to have a great product tried by somebody who's great as well. That's the.
That's so sweet. All right, before I upchuck in my mouth, I'm gonna.
I like that word, upchuck.
All right, folks. Thanks very much for listening. This was Saucy Sauce, Ken and Kate, two amazing founders who are part of FoodX. Gotta love it. In terms of finding them, get Saucey, SAUCEY now, NOW.com, or on the interwebs, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Saucy Sauce Co. with an E. Yep. Are we done? I think so. Thank you. Yeah. We really appreciate your helping these folks out. If people have questions for you or whatever, they can reach out via your website?
Yeah, or tweet us.
Or tweet you?
Yes.
Or even better, take a $100 bill, attach it to a bottle of Saucy Sauce that you purchased through one of their retailers, and mail it to them with your question.
I like
awesome. That. Yeah, we'll send you a T-shirt.
We should probably ask, where the hell do you find your product? Where is it? Where isn't it, right? Yeah, so I mean, we're distributed nationally. So if you're in the New York area, the tri-state area, you can do Fairway's a great go-to. Also King's Markets. Let's see, Bed Bath & Beyond. We have a lot of presence in Safeway and Albertsons in the South and the Pacific Northwest.
Southern Season,
Central Markets.
Yeah, so we're
and I'm guessing on your website, the GetSaucyNow.com, they can find your
store locator.
Yep, you can find the store locator or order online. So you can buy our sauces in packs. Like we have 3 packs for sale on there.
Right.
So
great for barbecues.
Fantastic.
Yep. Great for barbecues.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Love you folks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.